What's the most dangerous thing you do every day without even thinking about it? For most people, it's not driving or cooking or walking alone at night. It's how they use their phone. Phones feel safe because they're familiar. They live in our pockets, they wake us up, they help us relax. They're how we connect, navigate, work, and unwind. But certain phone habits don't just distract you. They quietly change how you react to danger, how fast you respond, and how aware you are of the world around you. Today, we're counting down the 5 deadliest phone habits in the world. These aren't overblown tech scares or vague warnings about too much screen time. These are real habits tied to real injuries, real deaths, and documented patterns that emergency responders see again and again. For each one, we'll break down what the habit is, how it actually harms people, the real-world incidents behind it, and the one rule that can keep you alive. And you don't want to miss number 1, because it's a habit almost everyone swears they have under control, right up until they don't. Let's begin with number 5. Number 5, walking while distracted. The slowest way people die fast. This habit doesn't feel dangerous because it doesn't feel dramatic. You're not speeding, you're not climbing anything, you're not doing something that looks reckless. You're just walking and checking your phone. That's why it's deadly. Across cities all over the world, emergency responders have noticed the same pattern repeating again and again. People struck by cars, trains, bicycles, or falling into hazards not because they were careless people, but because their attention was somewhere else. Down, in their hand. Here's what makes phone walking uniquely dangerous. Your brain cannot process motion, distance, and threat properly while reading or scrolling. It's not multitasking, it's task switching, and your situational awareness drops off a cliff. When you walk with your eyes on your phone, your peripheral vision narrows, your reaction time slows, your brain stops constantly updating where you are in space. You still feel alert, but neurologically, you're operating with a delay. That delay is enough. People step into traffic because they misjudge distance. They walk into bike lanes without hearing the bell. They miss curbs, stairs, open pits, and platform edges. They don't notice the train approaching because their headphones and screen have hijacked priority. And when something does happen, the body doesn't have time to react. This isn't theoretical. Hospitals in major cities have reported sharp increases in pedestrian injuries tied to phone distraction. Transit authorities have documented people falling onto subway tracks while looking at screens. Construction sites have had bystanders wander into active zones because their eyes never left their phone. What's disturbing is how often witnesses say the same thing afterward. They never looked up. And here's ours, the part most people don't realize. Walking distracted is often more dangerous than driving distracted because there are no safety systems protecting you. No seatbelt, no airbags, no crumple zone. Your body is the buffer. And when a car hits a distracted pedestrian or a train clips someone near a platform edge, there's no second chance to correct. Another layer people ignore is speed mismatch. Modern vehicles move faster and quieter than ever. Electric cars don't announce themselves. Bicycles close distance silently. Trains enter stations faster than the brain expects. If your eyes are down, you're reacting to a world that already passed the point where reaction mattered. Then there's the confidence trap. People think, I walk this route every day. I know this crossing. I'll look up if something happens. But familiarity breeds blindness. Your brain fills in the environment from memory instead of perception. You assume the light is still red. You assume the platform is clear. You assume nothing has changed. Sometimes it has. And when it has, the phone wins the fight for your attention every time. This habit earns number 5 because it's global, normalized, and invisible. Nobody feels reckless doing it. Nobody warns you when you pull out your phone mid-walk. Everyone around you is doing it too until someone isn't walking anymore. The survival rule here is brutally simple. If you're moving, your phone waits. Stop to check it, step aside, look up before crossing, stepping off curbs, or approaching traffic or platforms. No message is worth gambling your reaction time against momentum you can't beat. Because if number 5 is about losing awareness while moving, number 4 is worse. Because it's about using your phone in places where one mistake doesn't injure you, it kills you. Number 4. Risky phone selfies, chasing the shot that ends it. This habit kills people who never thought they were doing anything dangerous. They weren't trying to be reckless. They weren't trying to show off. They were just trying to get the picture. A cliff, a rooftop, a waterfall, a moving train, a ledge with a perfect view. The phone comes out, the body leans just a little farther than it should, and for a split second, attention shifts from balance to framing. That's all it takes. Around the world, authorities have documented hundreds of deaths linked directly to phone-related selfies. People slipping from cliffs, falling off buildings, being pulled into waterfalls, struck by trains, swept into oceans. The pattern is so consistent that some countries have started designating no selfie zones at tourist sites because the body count kept rising. And what makes this habit so deadly is the illusion of control. When you hold a phone up, your brain subtly reorients itself around the screen. You're no longer feeling the edge with your feet. You're no longer judging distance with your eyes. You're judging the world through a rectangle that lies to you about depth, balance, and margins. The phone flattens reality. That cliff looks farther away than it is. That ledge looks wider than it is. That step looks stable until it isn't. And there's another trap people don't talk about: micro adjustments. To get the shot, people lean, twist, step back without looking, shift weight onto a foot that's already near the edge. Each adjustment feels tiny, insignificant, but gravity doesn't care about intention. It only cares about center of mass. Once your balance passes a certain point, there's no correcting it, no grabbing, no bracing, no one more step back. Just the realization mid-fall that the photo was never worth this. What's especially disturbing is how often witnesses say the same thing after fatal selfie accidents. They were smiling, they were laughing, they didn't look scared because the danger didn't register until it was irreversible. Social media has quietly turned risk into currency. Dramatic views get attention. Likes reward proximity to danger. The closer you are to the edge, the more impressive the image feels, and the more your brain downplays the risk to justify the behavior. This spot must be safe. Other people did it. I'll just be careful. I'll lean for 1 second. But the environment doesn't reset for your confidence. Wind shifts, rocks crumble, wet surfaces slip, crowds bump, trains don't slow down. And when the phone is in your hand, your grip on reality weakens just enough to matter. This habit also kills indirectly. People step backward into traffic while framing shots. They stand on tracks too long waiting for the perfect moment. They climb structures never designed to hold weight. They underestimate water force near rivers and coastlines because the shot looks calm. And the phone doesn't warn you. It doesn't vibrate when you're too close. It doesn't tell you when your balance is off. It just keeps recording. This is why number 4 belongs on this list. Not because phones create cliffs or trains or rooftops, but because they convince people they're in control of places that were never meant to forgive mistakes. So here's the survival rule for number 4. No photo is worth changing your center of gravity near danger. If you need to lean, climb, step back blindly, or ignore warning signs to get the shot, you don't take the shot. Distance is safety. If the picture requires risk, the answer is already no. Because number 4 is about choosing a moment over your body. And number 3 is worse, because it's about a habit that slowly erodes your judgment even when you think you're standing still. Number 3, using your phone while driving, the delay that kills. This one feels obvious. Everyone knows it's dangerous. Everyone's heard the warnings. Everyone's seen the signs, the PSAs, the stories, and yet people still do it. Because the danger isn't loud. It doesn't feel immediate. And the phone doesn't feel like a threat. It feels like a quick glance, a harmless check, a second you think you can spare. But here's the truth that makes this habit deadly. When you look at your phone while driving, you're not slightly distracted. You're blind. At highway speeds, taking your eyes off the road for 5 seconds means traveling the length of a football field without seeing anything in front of you. No updates, no corrections, no reaction, just momentum. And momentum doesn't forgive. Most fatal phone-related crashes don't involve people fully texting for minutes. They involve glances, notifications, a quick reply at a red light that turns green, a phone sliding off the seat that you instinctively reach for. The brain lies to you in those moments. It tells you, "I've done this before." It tells you, "Nothing's happening right now." It tells you, "I'll look up if something changes." But change doesn't wait for permission. A car ahead brakes suddenly. A pedestrian steps off a curb. Traffic slows faster than expected. A light turns yellow sooner than your brain predicts. And while your eyes are down, your reaction window disappears. What makes this habit especially lethal is delayed awareness. Even after you look back up, your brain needs time to reorient. Studies show that cognitive distraction lingers after you put the phone down. You're back on the road, but your processing speed is still behind. So even if you only checked for a second, your brain is late to the moment that matters. That's why distracted driving crashes often look confusing after the fact. There's no swerving, no braking, no attempt to avoid impact, just a vehicle moving forward as if nothing was wrong until everything is. And it's not just drivers. Cyclists checking phones drift into traffic. Motorcyclists glance down and lose balance. Scooter riders hit obstacles they never saw. Phones don't care what you're operating. Another uncomfortable reality. Hands-free doesn't mean risk-free. Voice commands, dashboard notifications, calls routed through speakers, they still steal attention. Your eyes may be forward, but your mind is elsewhere, rehearsing responses, processing messages, reacting emotionally. And emotion is distraction, anger from a text, stress from an email, excitement from a notification. All of it changes how you drive, how aggressively you accelerate, how closely you follow, how fast you react. This is why emergency responders see the same scenes repeatedly: a crash with no skid marks, a driver who never saw the other vehicle, a pedestrian struck at a crosswalk with no attempt to stop, and afterward, the phone is found unlocked, screen on, message open. This habit earns number 3 because it's normalized. People joke about it, defend it, downplay it. They tell themselves they're good at it. No one is. Your brain was not built to split attention at speed. And modern phones are designed to demand focus, emotion, and response, exactly what driving cannot tolerate. So here's the survival rule for number 3. If you're driving, the phone is out of reach, not face down, not in the cup holder, not just for emergencies. Out of reach. If you need it, pull over. If someone else is texting you while you drive, they can wait because no message is worth the physics you can't beat. Because if number 3 is about delayed reaction behind the wheel, number 2 is worse because it destroys awareness even when you're not moving at all. Number 2, using your phone in bed, when rest turns into risk. This habit doesn't look dangerous because it happens in the quietest place possible. You're not driving, you're not near traffic, you're not standing on an edge, you're lying down, safe, still, comfortable. And yet this phone habit has been linked to a growing list of serious consequences, not because of where you are, but because of what it quietly does to your brain, your body, and your ability to respond when something goes wrong. Here's the mechanism people don't think about. Your brain uses darkness as a signal. Darkness tells it to slow down, to release sleep hormones, to lower alertness and prepare the body for recovery. But when you bring a bright screen inches from your face, you override that system. The phone tells your brain, stay awake, not gently, aggressively. Blue heavy light suppresses melatonin, delays sleep onset, and fragments sleep cycles. But the real danger isn't just poor sleep. It's impaired judgment and delayed reaction the next day. Sleep-deprived brains behave like intoxicated brains, reaction time slow, decision-making degrades, risk assessment collapses, which means the danger from this habit doesn't stay in bed. It follows you into traffic, onto staircases, into workplaces, and behind the wheel. But there's a more immediate risk most people never consider. Phones in bed increase the chance of medical emergencies going unnoticed. People fall asleep holding phones, they drop them onto their face or chest, startling themselves awake with adrenaline spikes that stress the heart. People with seizure disorders, sleep apnea, or cardiac conditions are more vulnerable to sudden sleep disruption. The phone becomes an unpredictable stimulus when the body should be in its most stable state. Then there's overheating. Phones generate heat. Beds trap heat. Pillows restrict airflow. There have been documented cases of phones overheating, burning bedding, or causing fires when left charging under pillows or blankets overnight. It's rare, but when it happens while people are unconscious. And unconscious people don't react fast. There's also the choking hazard nobody talks about. People fall asleep with phones resting on their chest or near their face. They shift, the phone slips, it presses against the throat or airway. For someone deeply asleep, intoxicated, medicated, or physically compromised, even temporary obstruction can be dangerous. And then there's the psychological trap. Phones in bed keep the brain in a state of constant readiness, scrolling, reacting, arguing, comparing, processing emotional content right before sleep. That stress doesn't vanish when you put the phone down. It lingers in the nervous system. Chronic stress plus chronic sleep disruption is a multiplier. It increases the risk of accidents, cardiovascular events, and mental health crises. Again, not dramatic, just cumulative. What makes this habit so deadly is that people defend it fiercely. It helps me relax. It's how I unwind. I fall asleep faster with it. But what feels like relaxation is often exhaustion overriding stimulation. The body gives up before the brain does, and that mismatch is dangerous. Emergency physicians and sleep specialists see the downstream effects constantly. People making fatal mistakes because they're tired, but don't realize how impaired they are. Workers falling, drivers drifting, pedestrians misjudging speed, all traced back to chronic sleep debt, fueled by screens in bed. This is why number 2 sits this high on the list. Not because phones in bed kill people instantly, but because they quietly dismantle the systems that keep people alive. So here's the survival rule for number 2. Your bed is for sleep, not stimulation. Keep your phone off the bed, out of arm's reach, and out of your sleep cycle. If you need an alarm, place it away from your pillow. If you need to unwind, do it before the bed. Sleep is not optional maintenance, it's protection. Because number 1 is worse. It's the habit people insist they have under control, right up until the moment they don't. And when it goes wrong fast. Number 1, reaching for your phone. In an emergency, when habit overrides survival. This is number 1 because it doesn't just distract you. It rewires how you react when seconds matter in emergencies, fires, crashes, medical events, violent situations. People don't rise to the occasion. They fall back on habit. And for millions of people, the strongest habit they have is reaching for their phone. Not to call for help, to record, to check messages, to document what's happening instead of escaping it. There are countless real-world cases where people delayed evacuation during fires to grab phones or film the scene, where crowds stood still during active danger because everyone was recording, where victims of accidents were surrounded by people holding cameras instead of helping, or where individuals stopped to text instead of moving to safety. The phone hijacks priority. Your brain has limited bandwidth under stress. When adrenaline spikes, it looks for familiar actions, things that feel grounding. And your phone is one of the most familiar objects in your life. So instead of running, hiding, helping, or calling emergency services, people default to the screen. I'll just get this on video. I need to tell someone what's happening. I need proof. And in that delay, danger closes in. This habit has cost lives. People trapped in burning buildings have been found with phones in hand. People struck by vehicles while filming crashes. People caught in crowd surges because they stopped to record instead of moving. The pattern is the same every time. Attention split at the exact moment it needed to be singular. And here's what makes this even more dangerous. Phones don't just distract, they anchor you in place. When you're recording, you stop moving, you frame, you stabilize, you focus, your body goes still while the threat continues. That stillness is deadly in dynamic emergencies. There's also the illusion of control. Recording makes people feel like they're doing something useful, that they're capturing evidence, that they're contributing. But evidence doesn't matter if you don't survive the moment. Survival always comes first. Another layer people don't talk about: phones delay calling for help. Instead of dialing emergency services immediately, people text friends, post updates, start recording. Precious seconds disappear. And in trauma medicine, seconds matter. Blood loss, oxygen deprivation, fire spread. All of it accelerates while attention is elsewhere. This habit has become so normalized that people don't recognize it as dangerous. Entire crowds do it. News footage shows it constantly. A disaster happens, and dozens of phones go up, but survival experts, first responders, and emergency planners all agree on one thing: hesitation kills. And phones create hesitation. This is why number one isn't about where you use your phone. It's about when. In moments where instinct should take over, habit does instead. So here's the survival rule for number one, and it's the most important one in this entire list. In an emergency, the phone is a tool, not a reflex. If you're in danger, move first. Escape first. Get to safety first. Call for help only when you're safe. Recording, posting, documenting, all of that comes after survival, or not at all. Because the deadliest phone habit in the world isn't distraction. It's choosing the screen over your life when the moment finally tests you. And that's the pattern running through all five. Phones don't just distract us, they change how we react when it matters most. So remember this the next time your phone buzzes, lights up, or pulls at your attention. Awareness keeps you alive. Seconds matter. Habits decide outcomes. Now tell me, which one surprised you most? The everyday scrolling, the danger behind the wheel, or what people do when an emergency actually hits? If you want more everyday behaviors exposed for what they really cost, subscribe to this channel. And next, we're breaking down things people swear are harmless until the moment they aren't.